Hello guys. So now we will be starting with the module 8 key security concepts. So in this module we'll discuss about the essential components of cybersecurity infrastructure, learn about critical security technologies like antivirus, firewalls and encryption, and we'll explore advanced concepts such as technography and computer forensics. Does anyone have any idea about what are antivirus, firewalls, or encryption, and what is technography and computer forensics? Yes, antiviruses are used to protect data. Okay, so mm, now let us understand what is antivirus software. What is antivirus? Antivirus is a program or a computer program that is designed to and prevent, and remove malware from our devices. Its key functions are scan files and programs, identifies and removes viruses, worms, trojans, provide real-time protection. Some examples of antivirus softwares are Norton, McAfee, Bitdefender, Avast. So these are some examples of antivirus software. Now, what are the best practices to have antivirus on our devices? Keep antivirus updated, schedule regular scans, avoid downloading unknown attachments. Before we go on and understand what is a firewall, let's discuss how antiviruses work. So, let's suppose we have a file. Okay, this is a file that is stored in our computer. What antivirus does? Antivirus scans this file. How it scans? For example, we are humans and we are Indians. So what we have? We have Aadhaar card as our ID proof, right? This is Aadhaar card, and we have a unique Aadhaar number on it, right? Which identifies that yes, this is the identity for this person. Aadhaar number is the identity number for ourselves. Now, what happens is we have Aadhaar card databases which have these Aadhaar numbers for which they search in the database and they find the entry for that Aadhaar number and they identify that yes, this is verified and the user or the Aadhaar ID or Aadhaar number is valid. So that is how the process works. Same goes with the file. Every file, every file has its own signature. For signature, we'll say a string, or you can say an encrypted format that is given or assigned to a file. Now, what does this file have? This file will also only have the code, or you can say the code that is executed or that will be executed on the computer. So this is a file. It has a you can say a signature. What the antivirus does is the antivirus goes to the file, asks for its signature, and then search its signature in the database of its own. This is antivirus database. Antivirus DB database. Now, antivirus database, if the antivirus database have this file signature marked as a virus, what it will do, it will add this file in our report saying that this is a virus. It must be deleted. So that is how an antivirus works. Now, how this database is built? This database is built from cybersecurity researchers or the exploits that have been tested or analyzed that this is a virus. So these files have a signature that is stored in the database. Now, if someone modifies this file, the signature will change. The unique signature that is used by antivirus, that will change and it will mark it as not a virus. So that is how an antivirus works. All right. So that is why it is suggested to keep our antivirus updated, because what it will do, it will update the database files for the antivirus that is scanning our device. Now, why it is advised to schedule regular scans? Now, if we download it or if we have access to internet on our laptops or on our devices, some websites download unintentionally files on our device. Now these regular scans will help us keeping ourselves safe or deleting those files automatically if we schedule scans regularly. Right. That is why it is advised it is a best practice to schedule regular scans. Avoid downloading unknown attachments. we can we must avoid downloading unknown attachments. For example, when we visit a site, there might be multiple download buttons, and if we are trying to download something, we might get overwhelmed and click on the wrong button, and some unwanted attachment is downloaded. So we must avoid such kind of downloads. For example, let's take one more example of an email. If someone sent you an email and it is an unknown attachment, we must not download it. So these are the best practices that are advised to keep ourselves safe over the internet and how to use the antivirus. Now we have understood the working of an antivirus. Now let's move on to firewalls. Now what is a firewall? A firewall is a network security device that monitors and controls incoming and outgoing network traffic. There are different types of firewalls: hardware firewall, which is router based; software firewall, which is installed on devices. What is the function of the firewall? Blocks unauthorized access, creates a barrier between secure internal networks and untrusted external networks. What are the best practices of using a firewall? Enable firewalls on all devices. Regularly update firewall settings. Now, what is a firewall? A firewall is a network security device that monitors, controls incoming and outgoing traffic. Basically, it is a wall between you and internet, or you can say www, internet. So every connection you make on internet, or every time you try to connect to a website, your network traffic goes through the firewall. It filters all the unwanted uh, connections. Like if the website is trying to connect to your device which is unauthorized, it will not pass the firewall. It will block over here only. So you are safe if if you are using a firewall. Now there are two types of firewall. One is router based. You can set it up in your router by adjusting the configuration of the firewalls. Another is software firewall. Software firewalls are installed on devices which will allow you which will allow you more control over the firewall, where you can set according to you what are the websites or what are the uh, connections that you want to allow to connect and that you don't want to allow to connect. For example, in case of antivirus, if a file downloaded to your device, let's say this is your device, and at first just erase all of it. So this is your device. If something is downloaded on your device, let's say this is a file, this is downloaded on your device. Okay, now this is trying to create a connection with the with another device over the internet. Okay, let's this is a device over the internet. This is your firewall. This is internet. Now, if a file is downloaded to your device and it is trying to create a connection with another device over the internet, it will first go through the firewall. If your firewall allows it, then this will work. If your firewall does not allow it, it will drop the connection. It will not move away or move another step and make a connection or successful connection with the device. So it is a very beneficial to use firewalls and antivirus to make yourself more safe and secure over the internet. It will always create a barrier between you and the internet, which will provide you more security, and it will keep you safe over untrusted external networks. We must enable the firewall on all the devices, and we must regularly update firewall settings, because there are several new ways evolving throughout or evolving day by day, which can trick the firewall to make a connection, or you can say that firewall can be tricked or can be bypassed. So we must regularly update firewall settings so that the latest tricks, or you can say the latest patches, are installed, or tricks are evaded and patches are installed, so that the untrusted external networks cannot connect to our devices. Now, what is encryption? Can anyone tell me what is encryption? As we have discussed it a lot of times in several modules as well. Vriddhi, can you tell me what is encryption? As we have discussed it a lot of times in our previous modules as well. Well, yes, it means, or basically, it is a method of converting information into a secret code to prevent unauthorized access. It is of two types: symmetric and asymmetric. Symmetric is same key for encryption and encryption. Asymmetric is public and private keys. Now, what are the applications of encryption? Secure communication, example WhatsApp messages, online transactions, SSL and TLS, data storage security. Now, what is the importance of encryption? Protects sensitive data, maintains confidentiality and integrity. Now, to basically understand encryption is, mm, let's say this is a black box. Black box. You enter a string over here, or you can say, let's say this encryption goes as input into the black box, and what comes out is uh, what comes out over here is this. So now encryption goes in this black box and comes out with this. You cannot say what it is, but it is jumbled. So this is kind of a type of encryption that is used to prevent from unauthorized access, or you can say it is unreadable, right? So this is what encryption basically is. It is basically converting the plain text into a format that will prevent us from reading, or prevent the others from reading what we are trying to share or what we are trying to say. So this is what is known as encryption. Now, what these are two types of encryption: symmetric and asymmetric. Symmetric is uh, inside this black box, right? Inside this black box, there is a what it will do. It will generate a key which will be used to decrypt this code or decrypt this text that is encrypted by using black box. So we can encrypt the this text by using the key, and we can decrypt the text by using the same key. That is symmetric type of encryption. After that, we have asymmetric type of encryption, in which or which is used in the if we are familiar with Linux use asymmetric type of encryption for login purposes. What it does, it will create two keys. One, this is the private key, another one is the public key. Now, what is the significance of creating two keys when we can use a single key for encryption and decryption? Now, the main difference is this one is stored on the local system and local computer. We can share this key to provide an access to the system by sharing the public key to others. If we want someone to access from a remote you can say system, we must share the public key so that they can access our access the system. So that is why we use asymmetric keys to provide access to our system by using public keys we can share. So how it works is, it will first check the public key, matches with the private key, and then it will authenticate. After that, it will decrypt. So that is the way asymmetric encryption works. Now, what are the applications of it? Applications of encryptions are everywhere. In nowadays, it is almost everywhere. In WhatsApp messages, we can that we use or that we send or we receive is encrypted. You have also seen a logo which is like this lock and says end-to-end encrypted, right? End-to-end encrypted, or you can say E2E encryption. So this means that the device that is sending this message is encrypted until the device which it is sending it to reaches the message. So it will be encrypted when the device who is creating the message and sending it, before leaving the device, it will be encrypted, and no one else between the network can read the message, and that and also the database in which the message is stored. The database admin can also cannot read the message that is sent from this device to this device. It will be decrypted over here only, and the receiver only can see the decrypted message in the plain text. So that is how it helps in secure communication. Online transactions, SSL and SSTLS. Whenever you visit a website, you see a padlock over here on the over on the top of the browser in the address bar on the left hand side. That signifies that it is an SSL connection, or you can say HTTPS, which in which S stands for secure, which has the SSL certificate that the data that is transmitted or received by the website is secure. Yes, that is what we are discussing, SSL and TLS. You have seen the padlock in the address bar of the uh, ad- browsers, right? So what does that padlock signifies? That padlock signifies that the communication that is made by the website to the device, or the device that is making a connection to the website, is secure and has an SSL certificate. Basically, SSL stands for Secure Sockets Layer, and TLS stands for Transport Layer Security, which are cryptographic protocols that secure communication between web browsers and servers, which ensures the data integrity and confidentiality among the websites. So, encryption is used in SSL and TLS on the websites, which allows us to securely transmit data on the website. So, encryption is used on online transactions via the SSL and TLS methods and makes our connection or data encrypted. Data storage security. Data storage security is improved by encryption. Let's say, for example, we are storing the passwords in password manager. If we are storing password in the password manager and that is a cloud password manager, and someone is managing the database for the company, they can see the password if the encryption is not present or they have not implemented encryption. That means they can access our accounts, right? So if someone else can access our account, that is unauthorized access, because we do not know what they might do with our account. If the encryption is enabled and encryption is present in on that password manager provider, the database admin will not be able to see our password in the plain text and use them to log into our accounts. So that is why it is important to have encryption, and it is also an application that allows us to be secure. It protects the sensitive data. For example, the password in password manager, our details in the databases, our username, our email addresses, our phone numbers. These are all encryption or encrypted in the database before storing. It maintains the confidentiality and integrity, which are two most important pillars of the CIA triad. Now, let's move on to steganography. What is steganography? It is the most creative and most, you can say, evasive way to transmit or share data without even someone else knowing it. Now, it is the practice of hiding messages within other non-secret text or media. Technique, how they use it is, or how they create a steganographic messages, embedding text in images, concealing files within audio, hiding messages in video streams. What are the use cases of it? Covert communication, watermarking for copyright protection. This can be misused for malicious purposes. Now, for example, for further explanation, you have an image of yourself. You can hide a simple message. For example, let's say, "Hi, my name is Karthik." Okay, and this is my message, which I can store inside this image, that image of myself. This is an image, this is my message, which I can store inside the image by using several tools. For example, steghide is a tool which we can use to store this message inside this image, and which will not degrade or decrease the quality of the image. It will just show as a simple image to the system, but we know that there is a message hidden inside it. So that is how steganography is performed. We can hide or embed text inside images. In audios, we can conceal the files within audios. If we have an audio file, we can hide the message or conceal the message inside the audio as well. We can hide the message in video streams. That is the method, or that is the technique that we can use or implement is known as steganography. There are several use cases for it. For example, covert communications that can occur using this method, steganography. Watermarking for copyright protection. For example, let's say I have clicked an image and I have let's say I am using an image that is copyrighted by someone else, and they have hidden the message using this steganography inside the image. So they can use that kind of technique to create a copyright protection for the image. Th- and For audio as well, they can conceal files within audio, so that if someone else uses it without their permission, they can raise a strike for copyright. But there are significant risks along with the advantages of this method. Can be misused for malicious purposes. Someone can share the malicious, or someone can add a malicious code into that image, which they can use for let's say, for example, they sent or you downloaded an image which has a code inside it. It will not, obviously it will not execute, but they have the access to that uh, code. If you have that file or image file on the system, they can extract that code, save it to another file, and then run it. So that is how it can be used for malicious purposes. So now moving on to computer forensics. What is computer forensics? The application of investigation and analysis techniques to gather and preserve evidence from a computer system. Key processes: identifying digital evidence, preserving the evidence integrity, analyzing the evidence, presenting findings in legal proceedings. Tools used are NCASE, FTK, Forensic Toolkit, Autopsy. Importance: solve cybercrimes, support legal investigations, ensures compliance with regulations. Now, computer forensics. Computer forensics is basically investigation and analysis of techniques to gather and preserve evidence from a computer system. Now, for example, there's a data breach occurred on a company's database, and the data got leaked. Now, how will we find out what led to a data breach? That is when the computer forensics comes in. By using computer forensic techniques, we can gather the evidence from a computer system, or we can find the causes, the reasons that led to a data breach. Computer forensics will allow us to find the data, search the logs, search the discrepancies, or what led to the breach in the database. It allows us to create detailed evidence, preserve the evidence integrity, and analyze the evidence. By using these things, we can present the findings in legal proceedings, which will help us to proceed legally and help us to put our case forward. So, to perform cyber forensics or computer forensics, there are several tools present. Some of them are listed over here, such as NCASE, FTK, and Autopsy. What are the importance of cyber forensics? I, I take an example of a data breach, which tells us that it is important. It is important because we can then find out what led to a data breach, which is an example of a cyber crime. Support legal investigations. We can present our case. We can share the findings that are found in the computer system that led to a data breach. So we can present our case and support legal investigations. Ensures compliances with regulations. It also tells that the systems that we are using are in compliance, that are with the regulations that are set standard by the, or that are globally set standard. Now, before we move on to quiz, let's first discuss the today's assignment. Write an explainer blog post or article for 400 to 500 words on how encryption and authentication work together in secure communication. You can upload your assignment on this link, or you can scan this QR code. Just have to upload your assignment and save it over there. It will be saved. You won't be able to submit the form right away because it will take all 10 assignments, and then afterwards you will be able to submit it. Now let's move on to our quiz. What does a firewall do? Uh, Please tell me wrong once again. Okay, I'm sorry, I missed your question. So the full form for SSL is Secure Socket Layer. Yeah, during the war, people got a photo and the malicious content. And for TLS, it is Transport Layer Security. Last year during the war, people got a photo and the photo had malicious content. Yes, what hackers do is they always use these kind of techniques to evade antivirus. For example, what they'll do, they'll implement encryption to an extent where the signature of the file changes and the antivirus is not able to identify that it is a virus. So we must look for such kind of things, and this is also the malicious intent of using an encryption. So we must keep ourselves aware of these kind of things. As you are telling me that last year during the war people got a get a photo and the photo had malicious content. These kind of techniques are the things that hackers use to trap people. Now moving on back to our quiz. What does a firewall do? Yes, Vriddhi.
It is a network security device. It monitors and controls incoming and outgoing network traffic.
Yes, firewall is a device that controls the outgoing and incoming traffic. It helps us to be more secure over the internet. Now name one tool used in computer forensics. Yes, Vriddhi.
EN scan.
Yes. Uh, EN scan. EN case is the tool that is used in computer forensics. What is the difference between symmetric and asymmetric encryption? Yes, Vriddhi.
In symmetric encryption, we have the same key for encryption and
Decryption.
decryption, but in asymmetric encryption, we have different keys for encryption and decryption.
Yes. We have public and private keys for encryption and decryption. In asymmetric encryption, in symmetric, we have a single key for encryption and for decryption. Now, moving on to our next question. What are the primary functions of an antivirus software? Yes, Vriddhi.
Antivirus software scans files and programs. It identifies the virus, worms, and trojans. It provides real time protection.
Yes, exactly. The primary functions of antivirus is to scan files and programs, identify and remove viruses from our system, and provides us real-time protection. So these are the primary functions and the main reason we use antiviruses softwares. What is the fundamental difference between a hardware firewall and a software firewall? Yes, Riddhi.
A hardware firewall is a router-based firewall, whereas a software firewall is installed in the devices.
Yes, exactly. The main fundamental difference between a hardware firewall and a software firewall is that hardware firewall is a router based firewall and the software firewall is installed on the devices. Now, how does symmetric encryption differ from asymmetric encryption? As Vriddhi answered this question, the symmetric encryption works on a single key and the asymmetric encryption works on double keys, public and private keys. Now, what are some real world applications of encryption mentioned in the document? Or you can say, what are the real world applications that we just discussed? Yes, Vriddhi?
WhatsApp is a type of application like we send messages to the person and the person can see the message but app cannot see what messages we are sending.
Yes, exactly. In secure it provides a secure communication. The servers that are receiving the message or the servers by which the message is going through cannot access the message in a plain text. They will always be getting the gibberish or you can say an encrypted text. So it provides us or its application is secure communication. It provides us data storage security and online transaction security. So these are some real world application of encryption. Now, what is steganography and what are its common techniques? Yes, Vriddhi?
Steganography is a type of practice in which people hide messages within the photos, audios, videos, etc.
Yes, exactly. So, steganography is a practice of hiding messages within other non secret text or media. The three techniques by which they perform this steganography is embedding text in images, concealing files within audio, and hiding messages in video streams. Now, what are the potential risks and legitimate use cases of steganography? Yes, Vriddhi.
This practice of hiding messages can be used by it can be misused for malicious
Purposes.
purposes.
Yes. And the use cases are it can be used for secret covert communications, watermarks for copyright protection. So, steganography is used for covert communication and watermarks for copyright protection, and its risks are it can be misused for malicious purposes. What are key processes involved in computer forensics? Yes, yes, Vriddhi.
Using the computer forensics, we can first identify the digital evidence, then we can preserve the evidence integrity. We can analyze the evidence and then it can help in legal proceedings.
Yes, exactly. These are the four key processes involved in computer forensics. We can identify the digital evidence, preserve the evidence's integrity, analyze the evidence, and then present it in legal proceedings. What are specific tools that are commonly used by professionals in the field of computer forensics? The tools that are used by yes, uh, FTK and and scan an autopsy. So these are some example of tools that the professionals use for computer forensics. NCASE, FTK, which is forensic toolkit, and autopsy. Why is computer forensics considered important in legal and regulatory context? Why is computer forensics considered important in a legal and regulatory context? Yes, because it helps in solving cybercrimes, support legal investigations, ensures compliance with regulations. Now, according to best practices, how should a user maintain their antivirus and firewall protection? According to the best practices, how should a user maintain their antivirus and firewall protection? Yes, a user should update antivirus and firewall settings and schedule regular scans for antiviruses so that they can check if there's a virus present on their device, avoid downloading unknown attachments, and enable firewall on all devices. So these are the ways or best practices how a user can maintain their antivirus and firewall protection. Now moving on to some questions, more questions. If you notice your computer is running slowly and showing strange pop-ups, which specific security program should you use to scan and remove potential trojans or worms? If you notice your computer is running very slowly and showing very strange pop-ups, which is specific security program you should consider to scan and remove potential viruses, trojans, or worms. Yes, we should use a antivirus scan. We will scan our system and look for the malwares or suspected files that can lead to this kind of behavior of our system. Now, moving on to our next question. You are setting up a home office and want to ensure that unauthorized external traffic cannot access your private internal network. Should you prioritize a hardware firewall or a software firewall for this primary network barrier? Yes, scanning antivirus can also remove cache. Now, for our next question, we have we are setting up our home office and we want to ensure that the unauthorized external traffic cannot able or cannot access our private internal network. What should be prioritized, a hardware firewall or a software firewall for this primary network barrier? So we must prefer a hardware firewall in our case because we are setting up a home office and we have access to the router. So we will first of all emphasize ourselves on a router based security and then going on to a software firewall. Now, moving on to our next question. You need to send a highly sensitive message to a colleague. If you use an application like WhatsApp, what security technology is being applied to ensure that the message is converted into a secret code that only the recipient can read? Yes, exactly. Hardware firewall is the answer to the previous question. Now, next, our question right now is, you need to send a highly sensitive message to a colleague or your friend. If you use an application like WhatsApp, what security technology is being applied to ensure the message is converted to a secret code that only the recipient can read? Yes, encryption is a technique used in the WhatsApp that ensures that the data or the message that is sent over to the colleague is encrypted. Now, a developer wants to set up a system where anyone can encrypt a message for them, but only a developer can decrypt it. Based on document, which or should they implement a symmetric or an asymmetric encryption? Well, a developer wants to set up a system where anyone can encrypt a message for them, but only the developer can decrypt it. Based on the document, should they implement symmetric encryption or asymmetric encryption? Asymmetric, exactly. Because in asymmetric, we have two different keys, public keys and private keys. Public key can be used to encrypt the message, but a private key is required to decrypt the message. Now, moving on to our next question. After a major security breach at a company, the legal team needs to gather and preserve evidence from the compromised servers for the court. What field of study and specific processes should they follow to ensure the findings are valid in legal proceedings? After a major security breach at a company, the legal team now needs to gather and preserve evidence from the compromised servers for the court. What field of study and specific processes should they follow to ensure the findings are valid in legal proceedings? Yes, computer forensics. The legal team must follow the computer forensic processes so that they can gather the evidence, preserve them, and present it in legal proceedings. Moving on to our next question. You suspect that a malicious actor is using harmless looking images to send hidden instruction to others. What practice are they likely using to conceal this information within the digital media? You suspect that a malicious actor is using a harmless looking images to send hidden instructions to others. What practices are they using to conceal this information within the digital media? They are using steganography. They are using steganography. Steganography is a technique which they are using to hide the messages in the media and sending others. Now, an investigator needs to analyze digital evidence from a seized laptop. Which tools mentioned in the document are commonly used by professionals to perform this analysis? An investigator needs to analyze digital evidence from a seized laptop. Which tools mentioned in the document are commonly used by professionals to perform this analysis? Yes, forensic toolkit, NCASE, and autopsy. These are some tools that are used by professionals to analyze and investigate the digital evidence. Now, moving on to our last question. Your antivirus software is installed, but you haven't checked it in months. According to According to best practices, what two regular actions should you take to ensure it remains effective against new threats? Your antivirus software is installed, but you haven't checked it in months. According to best practices, what two regular actions should you take to ensure it remains effective against new threats? Yes, we should schedule regular scans, update the antivirus regularly, and also we must avoid downloading unknown attachments. So in today's session, we discussed about, or in this module, we discussed about antivirus protects against malware, firewalls are safeguard networks, encryption secures information, steganography hides information cleverly. Computer forensics helps investigate and resolve cybercrimes. Cybersecurity requires a combination of these key concepts to build a safe and secure digital world. Thank you guys for joining today's session. We will see you in next module.